over here, baby. And a lot of headroom, too. No diddy.
No diddy.
So, Tony Yayo recently dropped a music video on thisis50.com. In the video, Yayo is wearing a ski mask, not because he's about to do some damage, but because the video was shot in the Swiss Alps. He looks like he's at a private resort, and as you probably guessed from the title, the song has strong references to the movie John Wick. Now, I kinda knew this song was coming because Tony Yayo has been talking about this movie a lot in interviews. So it was only a matter of time before he made a song inspired by it. Now, I won't lie, this is the Tony Yayo that I love to hear. The beat is not overproduced or underproduced, and the whole song is about 2 minutes long, which makes sense since attention spans are shorter nowadays. And lyrically, this song is amazing, I just have to say that.
John Wick guns, non-viper with no muscle flare. If niggas wanna tussle, we can take it there.
Now, is he spitting bars like Kendrick Lamar? No, but for Tony Yayo's standards, this song is incredible. Now, if he kept dropping songs like this more frequently and shooting music videos for them, I'm pretty sure his buzz would increase substantially, and I hope he makes more songs like this. Now, the top comment on the video captures how monumental this drop is. It says, "Yayo still dropping clips on thisis50.com. Legendary loyalty." But underneath that comment we got somebody trying to hate, and they said, probably because the channel has more subscribers than his. And logically that makes sense. Thisis50.com does have a wider reach than Tony Yayo's personal channel, but at this point I don't think Tony Yayo even needs to drop music, right? He's been in the game for like 20 years, and I don't think his music releases are what feeds him nowadays. Honestly, his loyalty to 50 Cent is probably what makes him the most money. Let's talk about that.
Why are you the last of the Mohicans, man, in the crew?
What makes
man?
him the last of the Mohicans?
Everybody's gone. The OG unit, man. It's like you're the
What happened
last,
to the guys?
last.
He's my guy.
What happened to the guys?
50's
What
my
happened to
nigga.
I'm gonna give you an example, right?
Go ahead, yeah,
I
because
know
this
Mike,
is what
I know Mike's been running through millions, billions since his 20s, right? He did a lot for a lot of people, just like 50, right? So in life, you gotta always remember, it's not all about how many times you say yes. It's about that one time you say no.
Oh yeah, it's over.
You know what I'm saying? You got to think about it. How many things you did for people, right? And, oh, yo, yes. But when you say no, they mad at you. I'm not that type of guy. You know what I mean?
Now, Tony Yayo. Don't you wish you had a best friend like Tony Yayo? Like, I know I do. Tony Yayo is the perfect example of what happens when you have a friend that's down to ride for you no matter what. In a sticky situation, like if someone wants to start a fight with you and everyone is running around trying to gain their composure, Tony Yayo is the guy who will have your back. He'll fight until either your opponent gets knocked out or he gets knocked out himself. Either way, that man is never gonna leave you stranded no matter what. I don't know about you guys, but if I got into a fight and my friends were around and out of nowhere I get knocked out, then that just means I got knocked out. My friends are not gonna do anything about it. In fact, they'll probably look at me and say, "Yo bro, how could you get knocked out?" And the whole thing will probably end up on World Star or TikTok or something like that. Right? So I need me a friend like Tony Yayo. Now lately, Tony Yayo has been making the rounds on podcasts. We've seen him on Drink Champs, we've seen him on Vlad TV, we've seen him on $1 Million Worth of Game, and honestly, I never knew this man was this funny until he began doing interviews with Vlad TV. Like everything Tony Yayo says is hilarious. Now, because Tony Yayo has been doing so many interviews lately, we've been able to uncover so many mysteries about the past. More specifically, a lot of stories about his time with G Unit, his perception on 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, Young Buck, Ja Rule, and others.
I see Yayo with you on tour, though.
Yeah, look, Yayo's a different animal. Like, if it doesn't, you know what he's showing me, if he does something wrong, I don't care what magnitude of it is, he'll look and he'll go, "My bad." And you go, "All right." And we just keep going to the next time he does something wrong. That's the relationship.
Right.
That is our relationship.
That's the shit.
So recently, Tony Yayo pulls up to $1 million worth of game with Gilly and Wallow, and he began talking about an incident that went down between Ja Rule and 50 Cent in a hotel. And according to Tony Yayo, this happened around the year 2000. So 50 Cent and Ja Rule were staying at the same hotel in Atlanta. And before I even get into it, isn't it weird that 50 and Ja Rule cross paths so frequently? It's almost like fate keeps bringing these two together. What are the odds that 50 and Ja Rule would be staying at the same hotel at the same time? This actually reminds me of another time when they ended up on the same flight together. Like, what are the odds of that? Now, according to 50, when he saw Ja Rule on the plane, he just ignored him because at this point their beef wasn't as serious anymore. No physical altercation took place. But still, what are the odds? Okay, so back to the Atlanta hotel situation. Now there are several different versions of this story. 50 has his version, Tony Yayo has his, and Ja Rule claims something completely different. But this is the version of events that actually makes sense. So, the incident begins when Chaz, a mutual friend of both 50 and Ja Rule, sees Ja hanging outside the hotel. Now Chaz is thinking, okay, since 50 is here and Ja Rule is here too, maybe I can end this beef right now and get them to sort out their differences. So Chaz approaches Ja Rule in a non-confrontational way and begins talking to him. At this point, everything is going well, and Chaz is thinking he's about to end the beef, right? So when it's time to meet 50, Ja Rule shows up with a baseball bat. Now during the conversation between 50 and Ja Rule, tensions flared, and Ja Rule started screaming something along the lines of, "Murder! Murder!" And all of a sudden the situation escalates. According to Tony Yayo, 50 swung on Ja Rule and punched him in the eye, giving him a black eye. But according to Ja Rule, when 50 tried to swing on him, he missed, and that gave Ja Rule a chance to hit 50 with a baseball bat and pull 50 Cent's shirt over his head.
You're a murdering bully. I was here when you punched Ja Rule in the face.
The talk got heated because I got mad and I started screaming at him. Murder! And so he swings at me. Bah! But I dipped it and then hit him with the bat. Boom! So now we start tussling.
Ja Rule, murder! Swear to God, when he in the lobby, it's like the eyes growing. Like he came in the hotel with a cookie.
No, and then he came out and they was like, Ja Rule, what happened? And he was like, oh, nothing. He had the sunglasses on. And he was like, yeah, something happened.
Here's the interesting thing. I hear he's talking all types of shit. Yo, I knocked him out, took his chain.
Fifth showed a little chain that was in Wangster. Little cross. Look what I got. I got the piece. So he snuffed him and yabbed him.
He's talking crazy, like, but people believe everything he says. What happened in the past, if it's done is done, it is what it is.
Now, I can actually see both versions of events taking place. I mean, back then, Ja Rule was not a small dude, and their beef was so serious that it could have been life and death. So Ja Rule's version makes sense, but so does Tony Yayo's. Either way, nobody seriously got hurt, and the incident was not fatal. Now, do I believe that Ja Rule actually started screaming murder when he saw 50? No, but the simple fact is it makes the story that much funnier. And now that I've heard it, I can't unhear it. Like I said, Tony Yayo is the type of guy that will always have 50 Cent's back. And even if 50 somehow got into a bad situation, let's say Ja Rule did end up beating the hell out of 50, I don't think Tony Yayo will talk about it. And this is just my observation, but it seems like Tony Yayo and Memphis Bleek are basically the same person, right? Like Tony Yayo would never say anything negative about 50, just like Memphis Bleek would never say anything negative about Jay. And just like Jay had to motivate Memphis Bleek to step up his game and take rap seriously, 50 had to do the same thing for Tony Yayo. Also, in every single interview, Bleek has no choice but to talk about Jay because their careers are so closely linked and Jay is the bigger artist. And the same goes for Tony Yayo. Any interview he does has to include 50. And I think it's even gotten to the point that we know what Tony Yayo is about to say before he even says it. Like we've heard all the stories, but because he tells the stories in so many different ways, it's still funny. And I'm here for it. So yeah, Tony has been talking about 50 a lot in interviews. There's no doubt about that. But how's his music career going? I mean, this channel is called Ali Talks Music, so let's talk about the music, baby. So after dropping Thoughts of a Predicate Felon around 2005, Tony Yayo appeared on a couple of songs and albums with the G-Unit, like Terminate on Sight, Lloyd Banks' Hunger for More, and others. But not a lot of people realize that Tony Yayo has been dropping music consistently since his first album. But before we get into those albums, let's talk about his debut album for a minute. Now, I won't lie, when this album first dropped, I probably listened to it about 10 times. And that sounds like a lot, but if you compare that to the amount of times I listened to Get Rich or Die Trying, or The Hunger for More, or Straight Out of Cashville, those are baby numbers. The thing is, I always considered Tony Yayo the weakest member of G-Unit, lyrically. And honestly, I still think that perspective holds up today, but wow. When we go back to his debut album now, it's actually a really good album, I must say. I found myself listening to the album the other day, and out of the whole album, I probably skipped about 3 or 4 songs. Meanwhile, when it first came out, I skipped most of this album. Now, nostalgia does play a factor in why I like the album right now. I get that. But at the same time, after listening to albums that came out recently in the past couple of years, and let's not say the past couple of years, let's make it the past 10 years. It's like my standards for what makes a good album have actually dropped. I've heard so many trash albums in recent years that an album that I used to think was decent back then feels monumental today. I'd even go so far to say that Tony Yayo's debut album is a lot better than the new Drake and Party Next Door album that just dropped, right? Now don't get me wrong, I like Drake, but it's almost like once he became the top dog in music, he got so complacent with it and began dropping albums like Honestly Nevermind, a project full of songs he could not care about. He wasn't even trying on that album. And then For All the Dogs. Man, when I saw the title of that album, For All the Dogs, I was like, okay, Drake is about to drop something tough. But then we got the album and I was like, what the hell is this? I probably listened to the album about 2 times. And after that, I never went back to it. So with that being said, yes, Thoughts of a Predicate Felon is a lot better than a lot of albums that have come out recently. Now talking about Tony Yayo's career, ever since his first album dropped, people assumed that he slowed down musically, but after that album, he just started dropping mixtape after mixtape after mixtape. And he's been doing it so consistently up until about last year or the year before that. I mean, in 2023 alone, Tony Yayo dropped the 134 tape and another project called The Loyal. The man has been feeding his fan base for years. And I actually listened to the 134 tape the other day, and my favorite track on there has to be Hold This L, and I'll tell you why. The song sounds modern. Now, one critique I've always had about G-Unit artists is that when the whole world was moving on with their sound into 808s and more experimental beats, like what Kanye did with 808s and Heartbreak, or even Graduation, like Wayne's new albums, it's almost like a lot of the G-Unit members did not know how to evolve with the times, right? A lot of their beats sound very dated and uninspired, and it's almost like these guys don't know how to use YouTube, because you can literally go on YouTube, find the hottest beats that fit today's sound, and make something that feels relevant and polished. But instead, they keep rapping over the same beats that sound like leftovers from Get Rich or Die Trying. Lloyd Banks does the exact same thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, the bars are still there, but his beat selection is atrocious to me, man. Whereas if you listen to the Game's albums, his sound keeps evolving with the time. Like, remember when Vlad TV was saying that Nas is the worst beat picker of all time? I mean, I disagree. I really disagree, because that title either belongs to Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo, because these guys cannot pick beats to save their lives. After Tony Yayo and Banks, I think 50 comes next. And I'm not talking about Get Rich or Die Trying or The Massacre. I love those albums. But if you listen to anything after Before I Self-Destruct, including that album actually, you can tell that if 50 had just chosen better beats, his career would be in a better place today, because he still has the bars there. It's just his beat selection is terrible. And in my opinion, he didn't evolve musically the same way Lloyd Banks didn't and Tony Yayo. That being said, Tony Yayo is still dropping music today. He'll probably drop a couple of more mixtapes this year. Will I be checking for them? Yes, I think so. I'm probably gonna listen to them. And the thing is, somewhere out there in the vast depths of this earth, there's still someone out there rocking G-Unit sneakers, waiting for another Tony Yayo album to drop. So I'm pretty sure that person's gonna be happy when Tony Yayo drops something. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but sometime around early 2024, Tony Yayo announced his own podcast. And I remember seeing it here and there. Like, I'd go on YouTube and search for Tony Yayo, and his podcast would pop up right away. But nowadays, if you try and look for Tony Yayo's podcast, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's almost like he gave up on the whole podcast thing for himself and decided to focus on being a guest on other people's podcasts. And if I remember correctly, 50 did say that he stopped Tony Yayo from doing podcasts, so maybe that's why his podcast is not available out there. But so far, his appearances on other people's podcasts have been monumental and hilarious to watch, so that's working for him.
Yo, if you don't do it, like if I don't give him something that he wanted, murder, then he's gonna go back to doing what we did. You remember saying that to me? You don't remember saying that? Yeah, tell him. You be telling Vlad all kind of shit. Tell him.
I don't want to get into all that.
But my shit look better than Vlad. You think you tell me the fact? My shit look nice.
You don't even look like the same dude to me
nice
on
for them
Vlad.
stories.
Murder, the real shit coming out.
And I'm here for it. Thanks to these podcasts, Tony Yayo has been given a second chance at celebrity life. And at this point, even if he began beefing with 50 or something like that, I think his podcast appearances would keep him relevant. Because let's be real, he's a character and he's got stories for days, even if we've heard them a million times already. Personally, I would love to see Tony Yayo do a cartoon character because the man's voice alone is unique. Just picture this. Imagine a cartoon with Tony Yayo, Lil Boosie, and Birdman. Wouldn't that show be the funniest thing ever? I don't know about you guys, but I would pay good money to watch that show on a weekly basis.
Oh, shit, grab him!
What you tripping for, bro? Dog, just 2 seconds, beat up. Alright.
Get him over! Oh, shit!
Gotta regroup. Oh,
For real, it's a real shit. Please.
oh, loose.
Please, please.
Alright, hold, stand still. Stand still.
What you say, Mike? You say Mike man's doors. Yo, bro, I thought it was supposed to. Yo, he going. Yo. Shit.
Now, on a side note, I know people clown Tony Yayo's impact on the game all the time, myself included, but outside of music, there's no denying that he's made his mark. John Cena revealed that he got his whole "you can't see me" taunt from Tony Yayo. Now, I used to watch WWE back in the day, and I won't lie, maybe I was slow or something, but I never made that connection until John Cena mentioned it. And honestly, I wish this information had come out earlier because it would have given Tony Yayo more credibility as a rapper. If not a rapper, maybe an influencer. So without Tony Yayo waving his hand in the So Seductive video, John Cena might not have gotten his signature catchphrase. Now that's legendary.
Transitioning from a street lifestyle to a more public persona was going to require a new mindset. Yayo didn't seem to register that. If I got into a disagreement with another artist, Yayo's reaction was, let's just bang him, because that would have been his response back in the neighborhood. If we got $100,000 for a series of club appearances, Yayo wasn't thinking about putting it in the bank. His first thought would be, hey, this could get us 3.5 kilos of cocaine. Let's flip those and we'll be sitting on some real money. Time and time again, I'd have to tell him, Yayo, we can't do that. Nothing else is going to work if we're just running around doing that dumb shit. We're going to be out of here just as fast as we got in here. In Yayo's mind, I was being too uptight. We had always done what we wanted, how we wanted, when we wanted. That's the attitude that had made us hot. Why did that have to change?
Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you guys have friends like Tony Yayo in your corner? Or do you have friends like mine who will leave you hanging at the first sign of danger? Let me know down below. Also add me on Instagram at Ali Talks Music. Till next time, peace.